everybody, it's the War Hipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are back painting one of the first foundings. Yes, we are painting the all-new Darnath Lysander. Here he is, in a new Terminator sculpt. The Games Workshop very kindly sent to me early to build up and paint with all of you, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing today. So without further ado, we're going to jump in and we're going to start doing that. Now, he has been primed in Wraithbone, as is so often the case with our Imperial Fists, and the colour we're going to be using first is Imperial Fist, and we're going to be applying this over top of all of his armour. Now, I am going to start under here, underneath the Storm Shield. A lovely storm shield, by the way. And we're just going to apply this over top of all of his armour. He actually doesn't have any different colours going on here, which is nice. Nice for a change. And then once all that Imperial Fist is applied, we'll come back. So with all of that Imperial Fist applied, what we're then going to do is we're going to take a roughly 1-to-1 mix of Lahmian Medium and Iyanden Yellow. We're going to apply this over the top to shade down that Imperial Fist, get some really nice sort of orangey, fiery recesses. And so with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to apply this over top of the inside of his cloak. So with that all done, what we're then going to do is we're going to take some Baal Red and we're going to apply this over top of the outside of the cloak. So with all of that Baal Red applied, we're then going to take a roughly 4 parts Flesh Tearers Red to 1 part Lahmian Medium mix. And we're going to apply this over the top. But what we're also going to do with this is we're going to apply this over the top of the field of his shield. So with that all done, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Lahmian Medium to 1 part Cygor Brown mix. We're going to apply this over top of that shield facing. Like so. However, the other thing we're going to do with this mix is we're going to use this to recess shade our cloak. So what we can do here is, for example, on the back, apply this like that, wash the brush, touch off the water, and kind of make a second pass over the fold. Like that. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Black Legion and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the fist iconography. We're going to apply this over the top of the joints in his armour. There's a couple of smooth cables on his gorget to either side of the middle one, basically. As well as any other black details you might be able to spot. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Sigvald Burgundy. I'm going to use this over the top of the little wax seals and the grip of the hammer. And so with that all done, we then take some Skeleton Horde. We're going to apply this over top of the parchment on Lysander, but not the ones on his shield. And so with that all done, we're then going to take a roughly 2 parts Agrax Earthshade to 1 part Lamian medium mix. And we're going to apply this over top of the eagle on the shield. And this is going to include the sort of nameplate that's going across the middle. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Militarum Green and we're going to apply this over top of the laurels. With that all done, our next colour is going to be some Guilliman Flesh. I'm going to apply this over top of Lysander's head. Well, face, skin. Got there in the end. And then next up we're going to take some Flesh Terrors Red. And we're going to apply this over the 2 little cables around his head area. So the one here on the gorget and the one snaking into his cheek. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some Nuln Oil. We're going to apply this over top of the little bits of sort of crux terminatus-y stuff going on his knee and on his shoulder. We're going to apply this over top of the 2 parchment bits on the shield that we haven't done yet. And we're going to apply this over top of the rope on his back, on the cloak, and his hair and beard as well. So with that all done, it's now time to take some thinned down Iron Warriors. And we're going to apply this over the top of almost all of the remaining details. Now there are a couple of bits that are a brassy colour, which we are going to do a little bit later, but we are going to be applying this Iron Warriors over the top of all the sort of mechanical details, all the details remaining on the hammer, the vents on his back, the inner workings of the shield, the trim of the shield as well, and so on and so forth. There's quite a lot of silver on him actually, to be fair. He's got these chains as well, as an example. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Runelord Brass. And we're going to apply this over top of all of our remaining details. And so with those metallics now applied, what we're going to do is we're going to add some shades. And the first of these is going to be some Seraphim Sepia. And we're going to apply this over top of the eagle on the shield. And with that all done, we'll then take some Nuln Oil and we're going to apply this over the top of all the black details, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the silver. However, we're not going to apply this over the top of the silver on the trim of the shield. With that all done, we're then going to take some Reikland Fleshshade and we're going to apply this over the top of Lysander's face. And with that Reikland Fleshshade all applied, we're then going to take some Agrax Earthshade. We're going to apply this over the top of all the brass and over the top of that silver trim on the shield. So with that all done, Lysander is now what I would call a war hipster battle ready. He's looking pretty fantastic. However, we are not going to leave him there, of course not. No, we're going to take him to the next level, and we're going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. Now, the first of these is going to be a layer. It's going to be more of a glazy type layer. What we're going to do is we're going to take some Mephiston Red, and we're going to thin it down with sort of 3 or 4 parts water to 1 part Mephiston Red. And we're going to apply this over the top of the bits of the cloak that we want to smooth out and definitely read as red. So this will just help us clear up any unsightliness that we don't possibly want here. Over the top of this cloak. So with that Mephiston Red applied, we've actually highlighted the edge of the field of the shield with it as well. But whilst we wait for it to fully dry on our cloak back here, what we're going to do is we're going to conquer the biggest highlight section of the model. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Flash Gitz Yellow. I'm going to use this to highlight all the yellow. So with that Flash Gitz Yellow all applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Dorn Yellow. And we're going to use this to add some little spot highlights. So just the little corners and rivets and things in all that yellow. So with that all done, the yellow is now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to move back to the cape. Cloak, not a cape. What we're going to do is going to take some thinned down Evil Sunz Scarlet. I'm going to use this to highlight now the cloak. With that Evil Sunz Scarlet all applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Fire Dragon Bright. I'm going to use this to add some little spot highlights to the sharpest points in all that red. So with that all done, just to tie it all together, what we're going to do is we're going to take a roughly 4 parts Lamia Medium to 1 part Blood Angels Red mix. And we're going to use this over the top of the entirety of the cloak. So with that all done, we can now move on. I'm going to move on to all of the sort of burgundy pinky bits. I'm going to take some thinned down pink horror to do these. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our pink horror, no, Sigvald Burgundy bits. So with all that pink horror applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Dawnstone. And we're going to apply this over the top of all of our black details. And so with that Dawnstone all applied, we are then going to take some thinned down Administratum Grey. I'm going to use this on the sharpest corners of all of that black. So with that all done, our next colour is going to be some thinned down Corax White. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the white details. So this is going to be that sort of crux terminata stuff that's scattered around him, on his knee and his shoulder, the ropes on his back, and indeed the two parchments on the shield, and his hair and beard. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Pallid Witch Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the shield emboss and the inside of the cloak. With that Pallid Witch Flesh all applied, we're then going to take a tiny amount of Black Legion and we're going to apply this over top of Lysander's eyes. So with that all done, we actually applied that Black Legion over top of the service studs as well. But what we're going to do next is we're going to take some Screaming Skull. I'm going to take a tiny little dot of this. I'm going to apply this in the corners of his eyes. Just like that sort of thing. However, we're also going to use the Screaming Skull to pick out his teeth and highlight the bone parchment. And so with that Screaming Skull all applied, we then take some thinned down Flayed One Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight Lysander's face. So with that all done, we now want to add a hint of a sort of orangey yellow to some of our leaves on our laurel on the shield. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to take some thinned down Ungor Flesh. And over the top of some of them, what we're going to do is we're going to add some of this Ungor Flesh just towards the tip of the leaves. Like that sort of thing. With that all done, this bit's kind of completely optional, but what you can do if you want to add a little bit of extra depth to those leaves is take a little bit of Ork Flesh and just in the middle of the base of each of them, just add a little dot. Like that sort of thing. So with that all done, to finish off the leaves, we're going to take some thinned down Deepkin Flesh. I'm going to apply this as a highlight. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker. I'm going to use this to highlight all the silver details. This is going to include those little service studs that we did with the Black Legion on his forehead. So with all those silver highlights applied, we then take some thinned down Canoptek alloy. We use this to highlight all the brass. So with all that Canoptech alloy applied, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red. We're going to apply this over top of all of the lenses and gems. So with that all done, Darnath Lysander is finished. However, what we can do is we can do just a couple of extra things to take him to that kind of real top level. And one of these is to take some thinned down Temple Guard Blue, and we're going to draw in some lightning on the hammer. So we're just going to very carefully here with the Temple Guard Blue, draw in a couple of very small little tiny lines of lightning. With that all done, we're then going to take some Baharoth Blue. We're going to thin it down to roughly sort of 3 or 4 parts water to make it really runny. And what we're going to do is we're going to just run this into the recesses of the hammerhead. So that sort of thing. Still sticking with Baharoth Blue, only this time we're going to thin it down normally. What we're going to do is we're going to use this to highlight our lightning. And to finish off the hammer, we're then going to take some Corax White. We're going to add some little light spots in the lightning. So with that all done, we're now going to add some text. And the colour we're going to be using for this is Cygor Brown. And really what we've got is we've got text across all of the parchments, and we've got the word Lysander and the word Dawn going across. Now the best way I've always found to do this is to find where the middle point is and then figure out how long your word is. And in the case of Lysander, it's Lysander. It's 8 letters long. So either side of the middle we need 4 letters basically. So we're just going to find that middle point, and then just to the side of it I'm going to start. So we're going to do an N just there. Like that. And we need to do an A next to it on the other side. Like that. And now we know that DER goes in this space and LYS goes in that space there. And so with that all done, he's looking awesome. But there's one last thing that we can do, which is to add a little bit of tasteful weathering. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Black Legion, and we're just going to add some little nicks and scrapes all over the armour. So we're just going to add, for example, a little dot just there. We're going to add a little bit of it just around the corner. like so. Just like this sort of thing. And so with that Black Legion applied, we then once again take some thinned down Dorn Yellow, and we use this to highlight our battle damage. And this is going to make it look nice in 3D. And so with that all done, Lysander is now finally finished. So all I'm going to do on the base is what I usually like to do. I'm going to apply Black Templar over the top of all of his rocks. We're going to apply Sterling Mud over the top of all the negative space. And we're going to dry brush the whole thing with some Tyrant Skull. And so with his base now complete, like we said, in the same style that we normally like to do things around here, our Darnath Lysander, captain of the Imperial Fists, is now finished. And this is the second time we've done a Darnath Lysander. We did the old Finecast one, now we've done the new plastic one. This one is better. It's just easier to paint, bigger, more impressive, and it looks a lot nicer. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this one. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done, scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.